Back in your life. This is Bottle Kill TV. I'm one of your hosts, Michael Roche. And with me, again, as always, we have the often imitated but never duplicated. It's the real bottle killer himself. How the hell are you?
Absolutely pumped for this one. Yep, really excited tonight.
Yeah, so I might let you lead this one in because these are two new purchases you had, new releases.
Yeah.
Hit him with them. What are we doing today?
Rogue purchases. Sunday hangover after the birthday drunken purchases.
Well, it was your birthday, so I would put them down as birthday purchases.
Birthday presents, yeah, exactly.
To yourself, yeah.
So we have got a Bruichladdich double header this evening. 2 18-year-old whiskies, very fresh, hot off the press. We've got the Bruichladdich 18-year-old redefined and the Port Charlotte 18-year-old as well. It's one of my favourite distilleries. 2 absolutely cracking whiskies. I don't think there's another YouTube channel that has done both of them in one episode, only on Bottle Kill TV. So yeah, I say we just get straight into it.
Yeah, Bottle Kill TV, the most entertaining whiskey channel on the World Wide Web. Which one did we get first? Are we getting the Port Charlotte 18 or are we getting the Bruichladdich 18?
So we're kicking things off with the Bruichladdich 18.
Okay.
It's an unpeated whiskey coming in at 50%. Mostly matured in bourbon casks with a few very carefully selected wine casks. I think there's some Sauterne in there. But yeah, unpeated whiskey, mostly bourbon oak. I mean, smelling good already.
Just first things first, while you're just doing a little nose on that. This is actually one of my favorite distilleries.
Oh yeah.
And so we've been to Islay a couple of times. We've been to the Highlands. We've been to the Lowlands. We've been to Speyside. So we've been to pretty much most of the regions in Scotland. And in terms of hospitality, in terms of just a great experience, Bruichladdich has to be up there.
Definitely
at the top. One of the top couple. I don't want to stitch anybody up, but I don't even know how we got this arranged. But we had a tour and a tasting like an hour before it opened to the public, which was really special. And the girl, was it Claire?
I think it was Leslie.
Yeah. And she was a little hungover. We were a little hungover. No, I don't want to stitch up Leslie, but it's almost like
we don't want to be getting anybody fired.
But it's almost like you know, like the day after a wedding and everyone meets up for breakfast and everyone's a little bit worse aware, a little bit hungover, and you get through it together. That was kind of like our trip at Bruichladdich. So you know, humor was going both ways, and we had a great time. And so these have always been one of my favorites. Port Charlotte 10 is of course a very popular. In the whiskey community. It's just a high grade, high quality. So people love this distillery. So I'm excited to tuck in. So give me firstly some of these. What are you getting on this nose?
Do you know what? Like, it's beautiful.
Oh wow, it is special.
It's it's got a really clean vanilla sweetness that's coming through, but also there's something kind of. People talk a lot about like this funkiness. It's associated a lot with like the likes of Springbank, and you get like, you know, sometimes these kind of like farmyardy flavors. And yeah, like that's all I can describe it as is it's got funkiness to it.
Do you think it's they're two distilleries that have very similar processes, right? In terms of they both use their local barley.
Yeah.
So do you think that's why it's giving you that vibe, because it's very sort of like organic of the location that it's in?
Yeah. I mean, Bruichladdich are like massively big on everything that goes into the whiskey, like the terroir, you know, the earth where the barley's grown, like just every little detail, and I think it absolutely plays a part.
Even the cask is stored on Islay the whole time, right?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, fruity as well. Yeah, definitely getting some kind of like stone fruits coming through there. But it's a beautiful nose, isn't it? I mean, we've been pretty blessed with some amazing whiskies lately, but I think like when you start getting into the, you know, the older ages of the whiskies, like the 18-year-olds, like the 25-year-old that we were drinking the other day,
I'm getting very earthy, very spicy on the nose.
Nice, yeah.
You know, it like you said, it's more of a. I would say it's more of a. Even though the location would not suggest this, I'm getting more of the farmy, more of the earthy, more of the spicy than I am the coastal. Sometimes you get from some of the ones in Isla, which are right by the sea, which Bruichladdich is, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm also, do you know what I'm just getting there? Like sort of these orangey kind of notes coming through, almost like marmalade. Little bit of a citrusy kind of tang now. And we've let this sit for a little while as well. So we poured this probably about 20 minutes before we kicked off the episode.
Yeah, which is sometimes is the mistake we make is you know the whole classic guidance or wisdom is to, you know, every year it's been aged is a minute in the glass before you try it. So this one we thought we'd go to whole hog and pour it early, and yeah, it's settled. So it should be. And was this? Had you opened the bottle today, or was it? Had you had to try it before?
Yesterday or the day before, had a little.
So it's had a bit of air.
Little
as well.
Yeah, couldn't resist.
That time to breathe.
Yeah. Lovely on the palate as well. Nice arrival. Definitely like those oaky flavors. Certainly like dominating, but there are some fruits coming through as well. And then the finish, and then again those classic kind of spices, dryness. Almost like, do you know like the crushed biscuits of the base of a cheesecake? Malty.
One of my favorite things in life.
Oh god, yeah. So like, imagine like digestive biscuits with melted butter, like crushed up, really like a nice maltiness to it as well. Pretty delicious, but again that funk coming through on the nose.
So I don't know the adaptation, because when I first tried it, we just drank a 40% whiskey before it, and it was a little too spicy on the tongue. It took about 2 or 3, and now it's got that quality that I always rave about, which is that seeps into your tongue. You know, it just delivers smooth and just wraps around your tongue and seeps in. Now I'm feeling the quality. Now I'm feeling the age. Now I'm feeling the smoothness.
So warming, isn't it?
So what is the percentage on this?
This is 50%.
So it is a jump from 40%, and you expect it to be about 50, yeah.
Yeah, it's a solid ABV, you know, especially for an 18-year-old as well.
The first sip seemed higher, but it's now it's rounding off. Now my palate is adjusted. It's this is beautiful.
It's really good, isn't it?
And I'm getting a lot of that. I know you said there's a sorters class, but it's I'm really getting the oak.
Oh, 100%.
The bourbon.
Yeah, definitely. So it's, I think the majority of the casks used in this are bourbon, and it says like a very select few of like wine casks. So probably where some of that like fruity influence is coming through. I think there is like a tropical aspect to it on the palate. You know, I was getting those kind of citrus fruits on the nose. Definitely some tropical fruits coming through more in the palate, but you can tell this is a very bourbon cask forward whiskey. Oaky, vanillas, nice sort of dry and woody spices, very good long finish.
What's the retail on this?
This was $150.
$150, okay.
Which I don't think is ridiculous for an 18-year-old.
Well, I paid same distillery. I paid 16-year-old last year 160 with the Rockandell. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's actually cheaper for a little bit more age.
Yeah. No. Well, I think the Rockandell's festival release, cask strength, 16-year-old Port Charlotte as well. So
ballot sold out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a range actually. You know, like we keep kind of like teasing ourselves that we're going to get a bottle of Royal Brackla. I was actually looking at it this morning because I was looking for a nice kind of well-aged bourbon cask whiskey. Obviously, because just buying the Bruichladdich 18-year-old 2 days ago wasn't enough for me. Royal Brackla 18-year-old actually comes in at just under £100. I think it's about £98, and then the other end of the spectrum, Talisker 18 used to be able to pick up for around 90. Price has more than doubled. If you bought it from malts.com, you'd be looking at closer to 200. So I think 150 for something of this quality. from such a great distillery like Bruichladdich. For me, it's about where it should be.
Here's a question for you, the real bottle killer. This tastes like it's more than 50%. It's got like a real, it's like a smooth, but it's got strength.
Oh yeah.
It's like a. I'm trying to think if there's a quote off a movie I can't think of. Maybe it'll come to me to reference, but it's really strong. Why does sometimes you can get like a 56% and it won't feel as strong as a 50%? What is going on there? Because this feels stronger than what I know as a 50.
I think it could just be it could be the casks. It could be possibly like a combination of the quality of the distillate, because this is, we know Bruichladdich is very high quality spirit, so it's rich and it's got a lot more capability to carry and take on some of those stronger cask flavors. So I think, because again, you would expect that the cask selection policy is very rigorous with Bruichladdich. I'd hazard a guess that there's a lot of first fill casks in this, so it depends what type of cask it's matured in, how punchy the flavors are. I think there's a lot of elements that go into it.
It's got a lot of viscosity, hasn't it? This one, maybe that goes into it as well. I think it's a thickness, and I kind of finished this probably when you were talking there, probably 30 seconds, 45 seconds. There's still stuff happening.
Oh God,
back there.
I'm a little slower because it's just so enjoyable. And one of the things, like, we were drinking the Old Pulteney 12 years old recently, and just like waxing lyrical about how good the nose was. I think the nose on this is beautiful, and also it's given me Glen Scotia 25-year-old vibes. The nose, it's got almost this kind of cheesy element to it, like a mature kind of like cheddar. It's a strange thing to say. I think it goes back to that earthy funkiness. I know, like, cheesy people might sort of think like random, a little bit weird, like, why would you want your whiskey to smell like cheese? It's the only thing that I can like describe it as, but in a good way. Like, I mean, I love cheese, so I'm not saying it like it's an off note. It's actually like it's a really
it's that very pastoral, very earthy, very can't think of the like a rustic sort of smell, but it's beautiful. This is one that could actually be like a, and obviously I'm a big fan of the unpeated whiskies right now. That's kind of like I bang on about it every episode. But this is kind of like a, if you had to go on a desert island for the rest of your life, give me a cask of this.
It's an absolute winner, isn't it?
And I'd be happy. I'd be happy if that was the last whiskey you ever tasted. You got a cask of it, go to a desert island. Absolutely top drawer.
It's beautiful. I think Bruichladdich is very in vogue at the moment. For me, there's been like a swathe of releases. They do some that I bought at the distillery when we went. The Bear Barley, absolute quality. I don't know what this year's is like, but the one I had was great. They do a lot of organic stuff. I think they do like an Isla barley, and then they've released this one. There was the 30-year-old that came out, and then what we're moving on to next, which is the Port Charlotte 18-year-old. So let's grab them.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because when I did Octomore was the first one that went on my radar, which is Bruichladdich obviously have their three brands, which are Port Charlotte, Octomore, classic Bruichladdich. Octomore was the one. That's kind of like the heavy hitter, right? And you were very sort of like when you first discovered peat, you were just like, I just want to turn it up to 11. And so you were big on Octomore. Then we went to Port Charlotte, and we kind of started to really enjoy the Port Charlotte. I love the 10 Port Charlotte, the Rockandale. I think we both you buy a Rockandale as well?
Yeah.
So we both bought the Rockandale, and I kind of ignored, because I saw it in the supermarket, the Laddie, and I kind of ignored it because I was kind of like the peat monster. No, I'm not.
Oh, it's a great bottle.
I'm amazed.
It's a really. And also, do you know what's good about that? Again, you can find it for a pretty reasonable price, but I think it's still bottled at 50%.
The laddie.
Yeah, and it's a really unique whiskey. It's a great core range whiskey. Your classic laddie, like it's brilliant.
That might be the next bottle I buy it actually.
I'd get it. I'd
100%
recommend it.
But yeah, so if we just go quickly, Bruichladdich 18, is it a buy?
Absolute buy. One of the best whiskies that I've tried in recent times. To even be comparing it to like the Glen Scotia 25, the nose, it's beautiful. It's a fucking beautiful whiskey.
I'm truly blown away because we had our top 3 whiskies of 2023. The Hazelburn was big on mine. It pales in comparison to that, it seems.
Well, this could be like a strong entrant for the 2024 top
already.
3.
So we're recording
coming in strong.
We're recording this on the 16th of March,
first quarter,
2024, and I think this is a strong contender already. That's a high bar to beat. So
you say that,
great job.
You say that, but we've got an opportunity to raise the bar right now with the Port Charlotte 18.
Yeah. So
now, this one actually caught me a little bit by surprise. So, as we're recording this, it's what's the date today?
16th of March.
16th of March.
So different.
It was like my birthday, like 5 days ago at the time of recording, and we went out the weekend before it. Lots of pints, lots of whiskey. Woke up Sunday, still slightly inebriated from the day before, and came across this randomly from a guy that I follow on Instagram, TonyX4, good guy, Geordie, solid.
Is he a Geordie?
Yeah, he's a Geordie, yeah, solid guy. And I was like, I didn't even know this existed. Straight away, I was like, what is it like? And I don't think he'd opened it yet. So I was like, fuck it, I'm putting it in the basket, check out, buy it. Gets delivered like 2 days later, open it straight away. I was like, fuck me, like I'm so glad I bought it. Put it on my Instagram story. I had about 4 or 5 people like DM me, is it worth the money? Like, should I buy it? I was like, no, that's a big question because it's not an insignificant amount of money. I think it was
sorry, how much was it again?
I think this one was like 175.
So you're hungover, like book it, pack it, fuck off. Turns up at your doorstep.
Yeah.
2 days later.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, happy birthday.
Just get straight in. Hope it's good. But it took me by surprise because I literally love Port Charlotte. PC10, brilliant whiskey. As I say, Bruichladdich, one of our favourite distilleries. And I'm like, click, buy, it's in the basket, here we go. Didn't know anything about the whiskey. Poured it. I was like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Looked it up, and I think this is a combination of round about 3/4 sherry casks and the other quarter red wine casks, French red wine casks, I think.
Oh, nice, because I love the red wine casks.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
I'm also like a big fan of sherry and peat. However, I was expecting...
Is that a couple? Is that the couple off Gavin and Stacey? Oh, that's Dawn and Pete.
Dawn and Pete.
Dawn
Sherry and Pete. Could be the next ones. But I was expecting something more like the Port Charlotte 10. So then when I was like, my brain couldn't kind of figure out like what had happened. So I was surprised. It wasn't what I was expecting.
I was surprised. They were surprised. Everyone was surprised.
Have you?
I smoked this one.
I'm gonna.
So just before we rock in, did you try the Rock and Dow? Did you open yours? 'Cause I did my classic thing where I bought it, but I didn't open it. It's actually still at my mum's. Mum, don't drink it. It's in a really precarious cabinet. It's in their drinks cabinet. If they have a party with their friends over the summer, it could go at any time. She's warned me. What was it actually like, the Rock and Dow? So obviously I know the Port Charlotte 10 well. Rock and Dow was a 16.
Yeah.
What was that comparatively like? Did you open yours and try it? You're better for opening.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course it's open. So it is. It's
one of my vices. I buy things that then I don't open because they're so rare.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's actually a really rounded whiskey, So again, if you think like the benchmark here for Port Charlotte for us is probably the Port Charlotte 10, right? Because it's such a great whiskey. However, you're drinking a peated whiskey with Port Charlotte 10. Like it's kind of like that smacks you in the face kind
it's
of
a
beat.
heavy hitter, right?
Heavy hitter. I'd say from recollection,
Comes out like Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, that one, the Rock'n'Dahl is a red wine 16-year-old, I think. Definitely red wine cast in there somewhere.
Oh, nice.
And it's very rounded, so the peat is more subtle on it. And it's incredibly smooth as well, from recollection. And I gave a sample. I sent some samples up to a guy who, Giles Murray, Instagram guy, sent me some samples, sent some to him. That was one that I sent. And I think of the 5 that I sent, that was his favourite one as well.
Oh, wow. Make me mad.
So that is, I mean, Port Charlotte's just such good quality. Like,
people universally seem to love Port Charlotte, don't they?
Cool kids whiskey.
It is a cool kids whiskey. And it's interesting because Bruichladdich isn't such a cool kids whiskey, even though that they're made in the same distillery, right?
Yeah. I mean, like Bruichladdich is the distillery, and then
but as a brand, it's kind of like Springbank is so far ahead of Longrow and Hazelburn. Not so much Longrow. Actually, Longrow is really gravitating to cool kids whiskey, but it's like the Springbank, isn't it? The people have their favourites, and it's usually got peat involved in it.
Definitely.
So, well, give me some notes. Give me some notes on this. What are you?
I've been talking so much. I'm struggling to hit the notes, but I think again it does have that
very grassy,
quality again.
It's really interesting because last one I said earthy. This is more like grassy.
It's got a bit of nose prickle to it. Feel it going up the nostrils there for sure, and definitely those dried fruits.
I'm getting the brine as well.
Yeah.
So brine, grass.
Few spices, cinnamon.
That's the nose prickle, right? That's what's giving it the nose prickle. And then color-wise, it's kind of got that nice color, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean sherry and red wine casks. Like,
what is a normal Port Charlotte 10? What's the type of cask that they use for it? Is that?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say like predominantly bourbon.
Because it seems like a very consistent color with the 10, but I don't remember it being that sherried.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Like maybe I'm just kind of mistaken myself. It's a long time since I've had it. Like it's one of those that I need to get another bottle of it. I've got a few of the like the OLCs and the SLCs, and I've got the Rock'n'Dahl, and then obviously I bought this, and I keep meaning to replace the PC10. But yeah, guilty as charged. It's a long time since I've had it.
Well, that's the video. One thing that puts me off Port Charlotte is I don't understand the SC001, blah, blah, blah. So maybe that's a good video to do, is to try and figure out what they are and break them down, because we've tried them, we sampled them at the distillery, but I don't understand I only understand the 10. The Rock'n'Dahl, I bought it because it was a 16 festival release, and obviously an 18 is easier to understand. But the Isla Barley, the SC001s, I'm not quite sure what it is.
Just had the first sip, and I'm feeling the finish now as well. Again, it's that seeps into your tongue kind of taking over the mouth. But what I get with this is a lot of like leather, tobacco. It's meaty, it's spicy. The peat is it is kind of like smacks you in the face kind of peat. Very smoky, very long finish. Still getting the finish now, and I've only just had one sip. Little bit of dark chocolate.
It's very thick, isn't it? It's very it's almost like rubbery in the mouth. That's how thick it is.
It's so thick. Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because one thing that I kind of missed on the nose was the peat. But then when you taste it,
oh god, yeah,
it's like a thick layer of like rubbery peat. That's just right there. That is just unmissable. It's just thick. It's like a smog, like a thick.
That's a great note. That's like
takes over.
Like Imagine like you're driving your car like 80 miles an hour, no, 70 miles an hour, the national speed limit. I don't do 80 on the motorway. I'd never do such a thing. Never. 70. 70, and like you've got to make a sudden stop, and like the tires screech on the road on the tarmac, and it's that like rubbery kind of like smoke.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of, for some reason, I was thinking of like, you know, when you go to a swimming pool and you put flippers on and dive and get the rubber brick. It was giving me that, invoking that memory in me, but that's probably a better one than the tires. Maybe that's my brain is scrambled a little bit. But yeah, it's just that's what I'm getting. Yeah, rubbery, tirey, smog. I'm thinking like dirty old town. Lancashire factory. It's kind of got that real smoky feel to it.
Big, powerful smoke.
It's very transcendent, this whiskey, actually.
It is.
It's taking my mind places, which is kind of awesome. It's not just giving me a taste. It's not just giving me a whiskey. It's kind of invoking stuff in my brain. This is one you can really sit down and enjoy. You know, if you're you know, say your wife is watching like SAS, Who Dares, Who Wins, and you're having a dram upstairs. You don't fancy Anne Middleton tonight. Then is that who it is on it?
I don't know.
Then this is one you can just sit in the armchair and enjoy. This is a really interesting experience. So much so I can't really put my finger on everything that I'm getting.
It is, and like it's so thick, like treacle.
But again, so smooth. What percentage is it?
This is 54.3%.
So it's got a little spice around the edges.
A little bit higher, yeah.
Which I'm getting. But
Definitely.
it's not hitting me like a 54%. It's way too like rounded for it. Way too rounded. To be anywhere where it's nothing but coming in there and just giving you a sensation, giving you an experience.
I just love the spiciness and the smoke, like the combination, the way that they work together, and then you've got that drying, tingly kind of finish. Like I can feel my tongue just like blah, 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 like.
I think that's what I'm loving. And what I love is the dryness and the smoke together.
Yeah, it works really well.
Because we've really been on a sort of a little. We've had a couple of wine. We had the Banyuls.
Do you know what I'm forgetting here? I haven't done any drops. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, that's true. It's just because it's been such an enjoyable experience.
Sorry, you were saying the Banyuls, the red wine finishes.
Yeah, the Banyuls, the red wine dessert it's French dessert wine, right? And the dryness of that is fantastic. So it's kind of like we're loving the dryness, but I don't think we've had a wine cask which is not necessarily mixed it with the smoke, with the peat.
No.
I did buy the Smoke Trails 2, which is the Ardbeg, the Ardbeg travel release, which is a red wine cask, but I typical with me, like I just said, I didn't open it. Just had to buy it while I was in Heathrow. But there was one more red wine cask that maybe at Glengarry. That wouldn't have been peated, right?
No. Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, so the third Glengarry that we had was red wine cask finish, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. But not peated. No. I'm trying to think as well.
It's an amazing combination.
Aside from the Rock'n'Dal, have I had any other red wine cask finished? Don't think so. No.
It's an amazing combination, red wine and peat.
More fruity with the water. Actually, takes away some of that dry and spiciness, which is fine, actually. I'm not saying, and I put quite a few drops in, am I saying it's an improvement? I think it just makes it very different. Like, it's a completely different experience with water. Definitely.
I don't think I've enjoyed it with the water.
No?
So I'm putting a bit more in. That makes no sense.
Just put more. I'm not enjoying the water. More.
We'll see. Maybe we'll get to that. We'll get to that crucial point.
Yeah, I still get earthiness with it, and even like that's with the water in as well, feeling it more rounded.
But I think that's where it wins. I think this is it's almost like a dessert whiskey, because it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that cherry on the top. It's kind of like the. After it, you'll be satisfied. Sometimes you eat your main and you want a dessert because you want to be satisfied. You want to like sort of like do that last like little like open the belt up and just go. Oh. That's kind of what this is gonna do for you. It's kind of gonna be the last one, and just I'm in heaven. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I think it's.
I mean, I know, like I said, we're kind of spoilt because for me they're both two excellent whiskies, and you're not comparing apples with apples. Like that's the whole point. Like one's unpeated, one's predominantly bourbon cask, one's mostly sherry and red wine and peated. It's like I've got two kids, two boys. It's like being asked to pick like your favourite son. It's like you love them both.
Well, no, we're no strangers here. With us and our 94 subscribers, we won't tell them. Who is it?
I'm not saying.
We don't have favourites. We don't have favourites.
No favourites.
But we do here. Let's say which one out of the two do you prefer? And usually we disagree on these things, which is always healthy. I know instantly which one I would go for, but that's not a knock on the other. It's almost like asking who's better, Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola.
So can I answer this one first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I bought the Port Charlotte first, and I was pretty blown away, to be honest. I was like, this is going to be hard to beat. I got the Bruichladdich 18-year-old the other day, and had a little try before tonight, but I'd not done them like side by side. Mm-hmm. I feel like this might come as a bit of a surprise because I usually lean more towards the peated, but tonight on this particular occasion, I'm going with the Bruichladdich 18, which is a bold statement because the Port Charlotte 18 is fucking phenomenal. However, like my tastes are just so bourbon oak, like not necessarily unpeated, but I just think it's like it's more unique nowadays. It sounds weird to say because that's like the classic way that whiskey was matured, but like I said on previous episodes, I feel it's great that distilleries experimenting with lots of different casks, but I almost feel like the classic bourbon oak has kind of become like a forgotten, underappreciated, just for its simplicity and how good it is. And tonight, man, like that's what I'm feeling. The Laddie 18 is the one for me. You're talking like two pretty much like 9 out of 10 whiskies. Maybe that's a 9.2, and the Port Charlotte for me is like a 9. So
it's interesting to talk about the classic bourbon casks because it's like the if you walk into Morrison's now or Asda or wherever, you've got Pepsi Max Cherry, Pepsi Max Ginger, Pepsi Max Mango, Pepsi Max Raspberry, Pepsi Max like whatever fruit you can think of, they're throwing it in Pepsi Max right now. But sometimes you just need a classic.
Don't mess with the classics.
You just need to throw a Pepsi Max in the fridge for half an hour. You can't beat it.
Remember you saying colouring. Like when it's on the shelf in a supermarket, people will automatically think darker means better. And like a classic bourbon cask, like,
I don't know if I said that, but
you did. You said on a past episode, like the straw colour.
Sounds
like
clever.
Ardbeg 10, right?
I'll take it.
Super clear, like straw colour. Obviously, it's in a green bottle. You're not seeing it on the shelf. But if you have like a bourbon cask next to, even if it's like I don't know, like something that's got caramel colouring in it. I think the Lagavulin 16 has got caramel colouring. People would more go for the one that's darker. But it doesn't mean anything because all it is they've just shoved colour. It's not. If anything, it's it's damaging the flavour in a negative way. Some people would argue. Personally, I'm not sure you would be able to distinguish it that much. However, like for me, just like trust the classics. Reebok classics never go out of fashion. Bourbon cask whiskey is never going to go out of fashion. Like, let's get back to the basics and good stuff like this. Please, more of it.
Yeah, I would, I'm the first one.
Same.
And it's
we
not,
agreed.
it's not the.
Good shout.
But it's not like I loved. This has actually reinvented my love for peated.
Pete's making a comeback.
Heavily peated whiskies. But I think it's the red wine influence that I really like in this. That really like sold me on it. But in terms of just the highest order of quality of whiskey, Bruichladdich, take a fucking bow. You've absolutely knocked it out the park.
Smashed
with
it.
That one. Yeah, that was worth every second of that 18 years in the barrel. When that's the quality, that's the time you take, the quality you take,
and every penny of that £325 to buy those 2 bottles.
and there's always, well, it was your birthday.
Exactly.
You treated yourself, and I was thinking with there's always a bias in the distilleries you've visited, the stories you can tell about those places if they've treated you great. Which goes to Bruichladdich, they will treat you like kings and queens. But they've really doing some really great stuff there, and they could be the next one. You know, quite often it's like you want to start buying stuff before it becomes the cool kid whiskey, because I've even seen the Port Charlotte 10 has gone up about 10 quid. The Springbank, as we know, is impossible to buy. You want a Springbank barley.
Oh God, the local barley.
Don't tell the story.
Yeah.
About you found it in a bar once. But if you,
I found it in a London bar.
But it's you can't buy it anymore.
No, you can't. You got no chance.
And it's almost like the no good deed goes unpunished. You know that phrase? No good deed goes unpunished. That you start making like best whiskey you've ever made, and it starts disappearing. Everyone starts complaining again, and then you become less cool than you were after a certain time. Springbank is still riding that mountain. They just haven't come the other side. This is the one now. Go get this while you can. £150. You know that's what you're paying scalpers.
Well, I think
for,
as well.
For Springbank. It's what you're paying scalpers for other good stuff.
Don't quote me on this, but there's something in my brain that's saying there was like 6,000 bottles. And I'm kind of like now thinking, do I get a second?
It said it on the Port Charlotte. I don't know if
because
it said
like
on
you're
this.
saying, you can pretty much guarantee if there is even another run of these in the pipeline, it's going to cost more money. So I'm tempted already to get a backup of that. It is that good.
So I think it was the Port Charlotte. There was the 6,000.
Okay.
This doesn't have anything on it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's one to test and find out. But
don't play around. Get it in the collection. If you already you like your whiskey, and you obviously do because you've listened to us waffle on for 38 minutes, whatever it is. Then
who's counting?
it's worth every penny.
All right.
So okay, we've both gone for the same one. It's a 2-0.
Yeah.
Bruichladdich, but it's almost like it's like a Champions League game. You know, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose, but they're both two amazing teams.
Champions League final.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
Just penalty shootout, sudden death, like just edged. That's it, because they're both amazing.
And what's that? I appreciate you. I'm glad it was your birthday because it's throw out the money on the 18-year-olds. They're 2 incredible bottles.
Treated. And then obviously we've got the Glen Scotia 25-year-old we still need to do an episode on.
Oh wow.
Spoiling the guy, spoiling him.
Yeah, it's not bad being member of the bottle killer team, is it? Okay, well let's take him out. So I think we've said it's an absolute buy. I would really, really recommend that you go grab those while they're available. The Port Charlotte seems to be the more limited of the 2 releases, but the Bruichladdich is actually our favourites. So work that one out. It's a buy. I've had a good time. I hope you've had a good time. And real bottle killer, birthday boy. Take them out.
Happy birthday to me. Let's have more birthdays and buy more great whiskey. One of my favorite episodes, to be honest, like one of my favorite distilleries. It's not often that you get to try two amazing 18-year-old whiskies in one night. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Hope you go and get yourself a bottle. Come back for more. Obviously, like we say, we've got the Glen Scotia 25-year-old coming up. Plenty more in the tank. See you next time. Like, subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us.